Hello and welcome to the University of Liverpool Online Open Day. To the University of Liverpool Online Open Day. We are delighted to see so many attendees to this session, and we hope that you'll join us for the rest of the day because we've got an action-packed schedule ahead. My name's Derval Quigley and I'm going to be your host for this session and a few others throughout the day. And I'm going to welcome our guest for today's session, the first session, which is Why Study Online with the University of Liverpool. And we're here with Professor Clare Pickles, who is live in Liverpool. Hello, Clare.
Hello, Derval. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Great. So, Clare, for those of our audience who don't know who you are or what you do with the University of Liverpool online programs, perhaps you'd like to talk us through your role.
Yes, for sure. My role with the programs is that of Vice President Academic Affairs. So anything to do with the academic side of the provision comes under my purview. I've been with Laureate Online, who obviously partner with the University of Liverpool to enable the access to the university's programs online. I've been with this partnership for about 8 years now, and I've seen so many students succeed and graduate. It's such a fulfilling role. So I'm really excited to be here today for the Online Open Day.
Thank you so much. So just to give everyone an idea of the topics we will cover in this session, Claire's going to talk about the importance of a master's degree, and we're also going to look at the significance of the Russell Group and why you should choose a Russell Group university. We'll look into ranking and accreditation, also very important, and how our online programs are specifically designed for working professionals. And we'll briefly talk about how, if you study online, you also have the option to graduate on campus if you so wish. So we'll move on. Clare, perhaps you'd like to explain why is a degree from the University of Liverpool such a great investment?
Well, I think any degree is a great investment in a person's life, whether it be for the joy of learning or for career advancement. So I'm very much want to encourage people to study further. I find it transformative. But obviously, there's so much choice today in the market for studying on campus and online. But it's important to choose the right program for you. It's important to choose the right program that fits within your life, within your work, your family commitments, and so on. And it's important to invest in a program from a prestigious university. You want to invest in the best program that's good for you. And I'm sure we'll go on to talk about the factors that make the University of Liverpool online programs attractive to students who are looking to invest in the best.
And Clare, I know we've spoke about this before, but you mentioned the significance of your own postgraduate education and what that had on your career. Would you like to elaborate a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, I'm really proud to be in the position that I am today, being able to influence the education that's transformative to so many students across the whole world. And I am only here today because of the qualifications that I have. I have 4 degrees myself, my teacher training degree, then my master's degree in education, which I did as a mid-career professional, and finally my doctoral qualification, which I did as a working professional, as a working mother, with various responsibilities. And being able to study flexibly really was the way that I was able to undertake those studies and complete them successfully. And I could only advance my career in education to become a professor because of the nature of the qualifications, and of course to the senior role that has greater influence over others. So for me, my qualifications have been transformative. They really have. And I've been able to work them around my family and my career. And to me, that's so important.
Okay. Well, I'm just looking at our audience numbers, and it's great to see so many people with us from around the world. So now we're going to do a little bit of audience participation. I'm going to ask our producer Paolo to run a poll. And this will give us an idea of what, like the lie of the land, and what you think out there about what do you hope an online degree from the University of Liverpool will do for you. So if you'd like to choose one of those 4 answers: expand my knowledge in a chosen field, take my career to the next level, give me the opportunity to join a global network, equip me with new skills that I can apply to real life. So that's great. And we're still waiting. Claire, have you any inkling of what might gain the largest number? What answer?
Well, I would choose all of those. Really, it's so difficult just to select one. Really, I think through my experience and my education so far, I think all of those are important. But what I didn't benefit from, which students studying on the Liverpool online programs, is the global network. I studied on campus. And I didn't have that experience, that exposure to a global network, which would have been very nice. But with the Liverpool online programs, because you're members of a classroom, a group of students following the program, then you build a network that can last and stay with you for the rest of your life. So I've built that up separately, but to me, all of those are important.
Okay, well, let's see what our audience thinks. Paolo, if you'd like to run the poll. So 57% think they would like to take their career to the next level, and that's followed by 33% who would like to equip themselves with new skills that they can apply to real life. So that's very interesting to hear. Thanks everybody for taking part in that. And we'll just close the poll now. And so the University of Liverpool is part of the Russell Group. For those who are not aware of what the Russell Group is, Claire, could you tell us about that, please?
Of course. Well, there are many different types of universities in the UK and across the world. Some are predominantly teaching institutions, some are recognised for their research as well. So as well as being a leading teaching institution, the University of Liverpool is classed amongst the top 24 UK universities for the standard of their research. So it's fairly elite club. There are lots of elite clubs across different countries in the world. We see the Ivy League, for instance. In the UK, the elite club for research leading universities, that is academics who are leading the discipline in their field, who are actually pushing the boundaries of what we know in those disciplines, are the research leading universities. So a degree from Liverpool Online obviously is influenced from top researchers in their fields that feed into the curriculum.
That's great to hear. And I should also remind the audience that if you have any questions throughout the session or any of the sessions today, please feel free to write them into the questions box, because we have a support team at the back end who are feverishly working their way through questions as we speak. And myself and Claire will actually get to some of your questions at the end, but just to remind you about that. So thank you, Claire, for that explanation. And another part which is important, I guess, because it is such a commitment, you want to know that your program and your university and the degree itself is accredited. Maybe you could speak a little bit about the accreditation that's available with the University of Liverpool Online.
Sure, yes. Now, it was interesting in the poll, so many students wanted to advance their career and wanted to learn real life skills. So really we could address this from how do we know that these programs will do that? What assurances can we give to the students that these programs can advance their careers and can give them those real life skills? Well, obviously one benchmark is professional accreditation. So when we're designing and running and enhancing programs, we look to the standards not just of the university and the UK in general, but also professional bodies that are relevant to career-minded professionals. And those professional bodies usually identify a set of core competencies and skills that have to be demonstrated in those degree programs in order for them to have that professional accreditation. So we have many professional accreditations across our portfolio of programs, from the health for the MPH, the AACSB. The top 5% of management schools in the world are accredited by the AACSB. So the management school at the University of Liverpool is accredited in that way. A lot of the management programs are also accredited by EOCS. We also have the British Psychology Society, who accredits the psychology degree. We have the British Computer Society, which is the leading IT professional body, who accredits the computer science programs. So students studying on those programs know that not only have they been developed by a Russell Group university, a top university, they've also been benchmarked against the very strict standards for professional accreditation. And so when they graduate, they just not only graduate with a cohort of like-minded professionals, but they graduate with a degree that's recognised not just as a top UK degree, but also a degree of a professional network, and they can their development with those professional networks.
That's great to know. And in terms of, because you mentioned about that when they graduate, is their degree the same? Is it like an online degree the same as an on-campus degree with the University of Liverpool? How does it work?
Yeah, I mean, students study in a variety of ways nowadays for degrees. Could be totally on campus, could be totally online, could be a mixture of the two. But either way, a University of Liverpool degree is the same, whether it's studied on campus or online, in that it's a University of Liverpool degree. It's gone through exactly the same processes. The development work has included online specialists in this case, but the actual validation, accreditation of the degree is of a degree of the University of Liverpool. The fact that it's delivered online is separate. The graduation certificate is that of the degree of the university. It doesn't say that it was studied online. And so you get a transcript as well of the university and the modules that you've been successful in. So it is exactly the same as a degree on campus.
Okay. And we're just seeing a screen, 90% of online graduates rate the quality and rigour of the University of Liverpool online degree curriculum as excellent or very good. I should say almost 90%. But in terms of quality and rigour, perhaps you could speak about the faculty, Claire. How is the quality and rigour of our faculty assessed?
Sure. Well, these programs obviously are distinct from traditional distance learning programs where a student might study by themselves in a quiet place at home, say, and then submit their work for assessment. These programs are cohort driven, so they're classroom-based students. So a student will study as part of a class, an online class, so a group of like-minded students, but from all over the world. And they'll study materials that have been developed by the University of Liverpool experts in that field and by the online experts. But obviously, to guide the students through that material, to give them feedback on how they are performing throughout the module before they submit their assessed work, and also to give them feedback on their assessed work. We have a wonderful cohort of faculty who've been chosen from the best internationally. So we advertise internationally for academics who are suitably qualified to teach on our programs. The vast majority have doctoral qualifications. Those that don't have master's qualifications have substantial experience in that particular professional sector. And we have a rigorous system then to assure the quality of those faculty. So we recruit, we look at their qualifications, we put them through a rigorous classroom-based training program, which is highly selective. So we observe how they operate themselves in the classroom. After that 4-week period, we select the best, and then we put those forward to the University of Liverpool, and the University of Liverpool will accredit those faculty to teach on these programs. But that's just the start. Once they're on the programs, they're mentored, they're coached, we observe them, we make sure we're constantly looking out for ways we can enhance the expertise and the faculty in those programs, and we listen to students' feedback, which we collect in a variety of ways, and we bring that feedback into our systems so that we can react to what students are saying about their faculty.
That's really good to hear. So I guess one of the key things about studying online is that a lot of our prospective students and those of you in the audience are probably working full-time and probably listening to us from your work computers. But just in terms of the online programs, how are they designed to meet the needs of people like us?
Yes, people like us. Well, obviously, people like us, we want to engage with the material. It's a big investment. We want to get the most out of it. And so we build in that engagement with the materials and with the other students through the online classroom. So there is material resources built in the classroom. There's the faculty there in the classroom to guide the students. But there are weekly tasks that the students are asked to do, and they have to collaborate with each other to help each other understand the topics that are being presented, the concepts, the skills that they're learning at the time. And in doing that, students share their knowledge with each other. So if you're talking about, say, a quality system in one country, then the students from various other countries in that classroom will share how that system works in their country. So you don't just get a very narrow definition of a concept, you actually get a broader definition of a concept. So we keep the students learning regularly, we keep them engaged, which is enjoyable as well as effective. And then through that, we help them keeping engaged whilst also fitting the programs around their daily and weekly tasks and responsibilities. And we also spend quite a bit of time planning for the very careful introduction and transition for students into the online master's programs and the doctoral programs, in that we have learned a great deal about what aspects makes a student's journey successful. So it's things like time management. So we build that in right at the very introductory elements of a program, and constantly reminding students of tips on how to manage important aspects of online study, such as time management.
Okay. And just to give everybody an overview of the online programs which are on offer with the University of Liverpool. If you don't have time to read all of the programs here, feel free to visit our website where you'll get information, or a lot more information. And also you can again ask our support team some questions today, and they will be able to answer your questions on specific programs. And Claire, you very kindly prepared 5 tips on how to become a successful student with Liverpool Online. Perhaps you'd like to take us through those.
Yes, I'd be really happy to. These are my sort of top tips, if you like. One is, get to know your program. As you've just shown, we have a significant suite of programs, from health to computer science to psychology, education, management, and so on. And so when you're specializing in a master's program, it's important to get to know that program, really study the curriculum, the content of the modules that's available to you, and engage actively with the enrollment advisors about the content of the programs, and really get excited about it. It is a significant investment. Very important to set up a routine. We're all very busy professionals, but we can learn whilst we're doing that. We often have family responsibilities as well. Sometimes we're traveling. Sometimes our students are actually moved to different countries by their employer whilst they're studying. But being able to study online means they can port that learning no matter what country they're in. So it's important to set up a routine. I remember one alumni talking to current students about his routine. He would come home from work, he would spend time with the family, have his evening meal, and then he would go into the classroom. He would engage with the material and the discussion questions and other students, and then he'd take the concept or the current discussion in his head into work. He'd talk about it with his colleagues at work. What would they do? What do they think to this concept? Would they agree? And all the time he's reflecting on his learning. And then the following evening, after work, after spending time with the family, back online again, by which time he's reflected on what he does. He carries on with that discussion question. So it is important to set up a routine that you can keep to and you'll keep up with your studies. And my third top tip is interacting with your peers, because the students that you have in your classroom are a wonderful resource. They're wonderful people, they're motivated, they're driven, they're keen to learn, and they're keen to share their knowledge, their own professional knowledge and their own learning. So interact and support your peers. There are lots of opportunities in the classroom to debate concepts, have discussions, and it's a great way to build that network that can stay with you for the rest of your career. It's important as well to engage with your employer while you can, because when you come to do a dissertation, there may be a topic that is relevant to your work that you could spend that time studying for the benefit not just of yourself, but your employer. So it's a good idea to engage your employer if you can. And then finally, my big top tip is just enjoy. The more you enjoy your studies, then the more you'll get out of them.
That's great, and great to hear, Claire, because I've had the privilege of attending graduation with the University of Liverpool, and hearing from graduates, you often hear that even though time management is an issue, and nobody's saying that studying a master's degree online is easy, and in a way it shouldn't be easy, because of course you want to be challenged. But a lot of people often find that when they apply themselves, they do in fact find that they actually have more time, because again, I suppose it's a skill that you're developing.
Yes, I mean, they always say, give a job to a busy person, don't they? Because you just get on and do it. But yes, you're right. It's not easy. It is a commitment. A master's degree, anyway, master's level study is not easy, but it is transformative. It's a wonderful thing you can do to enhance your career. Or some people just do it for their own sake, because they like to learn. But a vast majority of the students do it to enhance their career. So it is a good investment. It's not easy. This is Liverpool Online is a prestigious university. They're in the top 1% of universities worldwide. So it's a huge and a great opportunity to study. And anyone who starts to study, I wish them my best luck.
Thank you so much. So now we're on to the Q&A session. We have lots of questions coming in, which is great to see, and please keep them coming. Claire, perhaps you would like to answer this question from Marcus. Why does ranking matter?
Ranking matters because of reputation. Obviously, you will want to have a degree from a reputable university, and your employer will want to know, or your prospective employer will want to know, that your studies are from a reputable university. So there are various ways, obviously, that students can measure the reputation of their university. One vehicle is the league tables, and anyone looking will see how highly the University of Liverpool is ranked in the league tables. So it's very important to have a degree from a reputable university, one also that's recognised in your home country. And we do have a list of in-country recognitions from over 160 countries. So it is important that a student can assure themselves of the in-country recognition that applies to any degree that they undertake, and we're more than happy to help them, advise them on that.
Thank you very much. And what does it mean? I guess this question is really looking at the University of Liverpool's online learning model, because what this person would like to know, what does it mean to study 100% online?
Okay, so as I said before, there's various ways of studying. One can study 100% on campus. Obviously, you don't get the flexibility there that you would want if you were a working professional. Or you could study partly on campus, partly off campus. But with 100% online, it means that you get the classroom experience, the exposure to faculty, the exposure to resources and so on, but via the online platform, so that you can take your study, either you can study at work, you can study at home, if you're moved to a different country, you can study. All you need is access to the internet and you're able to study, but still benefit from the online collaboration with your fellow students and with a member of academic staff.
Great. And here is another question. Are the online faculty experts in their fields?
Absolutely, yes. They're chosen for their expertise and qualifications in those particular areas. So for instance, for psychology, we're very discerning about the faculty and the experience that they come with and the qualifications that they come with. So we choose faculty for their ability to teach effectively in the classroom and support the student learning in the classroom. And also we choose faculty for the expertise they bring to the dissertation phase, because obviously at the dissertation phase, students have a one-to-one relationship with a dissertation supervisor. And so we choose faculty from amongst our cohort who have the best skills in supervising on a one-to-one basis with students through that fairly intensive dissertation phase.
Okay. And a question from Mahmood: How recognised are online degrees from an employer's point of view nowadays?
Well, I think employers are more interested in the outcomes, the learning outcomes, and how you're demonstrating that, as opposed now to the mode of delivery. Everybody works online, don't they? Everybody uses online for some part of their daily tasks. And so I think the method of learning is not so important now. It's really what the students do learn. So students can share with their employers the learning outcomes, the module descriptors. They can share the successes in passing their modules as they progress through their programs. And they can also share the reputation of the University of Liverpool, so that an employer will know what it is that the students are learning, how they're being assessed, and the reputation that comes along with online programs from the university.
Yeah. And I guess this is an important question. Does the online degree hold the same status as a non-campus degree, which we've kind of talked about already, but do they have the same status?
Absolutely. There's no difference in any way except for the mode of delivery and the flexibility. But in terms of accreditation, validation, recognition, it is a University of Liverpool degree, irrespective of whether it's studied on campus, online, or both.
And perhaps, Claire, you'd like to talk a little bit about the alumni network.
Well, we have a huge alumni network. All of our students who graduate are welcome to campus for the graduation, and that's such a wonderful event. Everybody gets to shake hands with the Vice Chancellor of the University, Dame Professor Janet Beer, and also to be congratulated by other online students, by faculty, colleagues such as myself. And it's a wonderful occasion. And when they graduate, they become part of the University of Liverpool's active alumni network. So they can even broaden their network, their professional network, from that which they've developed in the classrooms and the modules, and they can broaden it to become one of the Universities of Liverpool's alumni.
That's good to hear. And how are the online programs relevant to today's business professionals?
Well, we have to remain relevant in our curricula, and the curricula are regularly reviewed and updated if aspects change. And in order to do that, we have to meet strict requirements of the university's validation and approvals process, which is a peer review process of relevant academics, experts in the field, who will look at the curriculum to ensure that what the students are studying is correct and relevant and as they would want it to be. And then also the professional accreditation provides an extra sort of kite mark or benchmark as to the relevance of that curricula. But of course, there's also a substantial dissertation element to the master's programs and a thesis element on the doctoral programs, which enables a degree of choice for the student. So if a student wanted to specialize in an area that they had met for the first time in the online programs, if they wanted to specialize and study that in depth, then they have quite a lot of credits in the dissertation module in order to spend some time researching that aspect, which might have relevance to their daily work. It might be something completely separate. It might be something they would want to do that rather than something that they're doing at the moment at work. But it does give that significant opportunity for students to undertake an independent study of something of their choice, but relevant to the programme.
Yeah, which is a great opportunity indeed. And also, I suppose, as the classrooms are extremely international, and that brings with it learning from your peers. Perhaps, Claire, you could talk about why Liverpool is an international university in that sense.
Well, students come onto these programs from over 160 countries. So you can imagine how international a classroom is. We'll have students from all over the globe in the classrooms. And so their perspectives, their background are often shared within the classrooms through the discussion forums, the discussion questions that we have. So it brings a very rich experience for the students, a very rich dimension, added layer to their studies when you can talk to somebody who is studying from across the world. It really does add that layer. You're not a student studying at a distance by yourself, locked in your room or something. You're part of an international community, all joining together in discussions about topics relevant to your degree and to your workplace. So it's such a rich opportunity for students to broaden their knowledge, not just the subject knowledge, but to actually learn from people in other countries.
Yeah. And Claire, do online students get the chance to meet in person?
Well, yes, they do in a way, in that the courses are designed so that the students interact on a daily basis through their classrooms. Not all students can go to campus. For some, that's the appeal of the 100% online study mode for these programs. But some students do want to come to the university. So we do offer some residencies for the students. We have one running this October. We have one on the doctoral programs as well. So those are generally developed at the request of students. You know, students who say, we would like to meet, to network. And so we respond by setting up the residencies, but it's only supplementary to the programs. It's not required. A student can study for a University of Liverpool online master's and doctoral program without leaving their home, without leaving their workplace, without leaving the country. And that's the beauty of these programs.
Okay. And Marie would like to know, what does a typical day in the life of an online student look like?
Well, a typical day, a student would be typically working maybe, or have some other responsibilities. But at a certain point in the week, that week's classroom will open up. So students will start that week's topic. It'll be introduced often by a short video clip from a member of the academic staff who will introduce that learning unit, if you like. The work will be presented to the students. They'll have access to recommended resources to expand on their knowledge. And then as the days go on, a discussion question will open up for the students, and the students will be asked to engage in that discussion question with colleagues in their classroom. And then there are guidelines on the high expectations for their contributions and for the referencing in those discussion questions. And then a faculty member will, over the days, feed back to the students, give some formative feedback to help shape the students' learning. And then during the course of the module, and modules can vary anything between 8 weeks and 12 weeks, depending on the program. But during the course of the module, there will be assessed pieces of work, which a student will do based on the learning that they've undertaken over the previous weeks and days, and then submit that for assessment. So that's a sort of typical cycle for a student.
Okay, thank you for that. And we have a few questions just in terms of the classroom, the online classroom, and the class numbers. How many people can you expect to be in your class?
Well, we're very conscious about how important that learning experience is and the learning model that we use on the online program. So we do limit the numbers of students in a classroom. The maximum a student should ever see in a classroom is 25 students, but very often it's much, much lower than that. And of course, on degree programs, they're structured such that there are core modules, but very often there are elective modules as well. So a student can study the core elements of their degree, but also have a degree of flexibility over which specialist options to study. And so often you'll find smaller numbers on those specialist options rather than on the core modules. But certainly on the master's programs, we determined that there would never be more than 25 in a classroom. On the doctoral programs, it's much less. The maximum is more like 16, and again, we very rarely meet that 16. So it does give the students an opportunity to engage with everybody in their classroom. And professional qualifications as well, professional bodies can sometimes add a layer of restriction onto that as well. So the British Computer Society, for instance, determined that staff-student ratios, so that's the number of students to faculty, should actually be slightly lower. So we tend to operate on psychology with around 20 to 22 students in a classroom maximum. But as I say, often the classrooms are much smaller.
Okay. And I know we're going to cover this in a session later at 2:30. But maybe, Claire, you could talk us through just the support that's available to online students. Because I know that we do have a great philosophy of keeping the student at the centre and really building a support network around them that makes them feel that they can complete their studies successfully.
Well, I'm very proud of the learning experience we offer to students. Behind every student, there's a team. There's a team of people that support them and is there for them to use throughout their studies. So we have the enrolment advisors who are there to guide them through their choice of study. They see them through the first couple of weeks of the program, which can be the strangest weeks for students if they're not used to online learning, but we've got support for students there. And not only do we have the faculty that we've talked about before, but we also have a wonderful team of student support advisors. And they're there, they do two things. They proactively reach out to students. So if they feel that a student maybe is struggling for one reason or other, and things happen in life, don't they? So student support, everybody has a student support manager, and they can reach out to the students if they feel that a student needs a bit of advice or support, or they can be there for the students to reach out to. So if something happens in a student's life that affects their master's degree study, then they can reach out to their student support advisor. And they've generally heard everything before, every example of the typical thing that happens in life, and they're there to offer some advice to students. Student support often are there to congratulate students on their studies, give them feedback on their assessed work, talk to them about options they have based on the outcomes of that assessed work, for instance. So we have this wonderful team of people that that students will see. Students won't just see their fellow students, they won't just see a member of faculty or their dissertation advisor, but they'll see the team of enrolment advisors, the team of student support as well.
So I guess the main thing is you're not alone. So if you're thinking about enrolling on an online program, but you're not quite sure whether it's the right thing or whether you should study part-time on campus, know that you will be supported every step of the way.
Absolutely. I mean, many students or prospective students may have already heard about the reputation of the University of Liverpool, but they may already have heard about the reputation of the city's football club and its anthem, "You'll Never Walk Alone." And I remember observing a wonderful presentation from one of our recent graduates, and that was his message to prospective students. He actually had a Liverpool scarf which he held up to them, and he said, "On these programs, you'll never walk alone."
Great. So just to remind people, if you are indeed interested in finding out more, you can, of course, log on to our website, online.liverpool.ac.uk, and you will find a lot of information on all the topics that we've talked about today. Just before we wrap up, I'd like to mention that those dates for your diary, you'll see on your screens that the next application deadline and also the next start date. So if you're in the middle of completing your application, please put pen to paper or type them up. If you've any questions, or maybe you still need to track down some of those documents that are required, please go ahead and do so, and keep in contact with your enrolment advisor. They're a great support to everyone, and they really will talk through your own individual situation and really help you find the best program for you, and explain why it's relevant to your career and what you should be able to achieve as a result. So Claire, before we wrap up, I'd like to say thank you very much for joining us today. You've been a font of information, and we're so delighted to have you.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and I've read through the programme for the rest of the day, and there's an awful lot of really good detailed information in those sessions. So I really encourage our viewers and our listeners to engage with other sessions throughout the day. I'm sure they'll find it worthwhile.
I think they will, and I'll speak a little bit after shortly about the other sessions that are available. But for now, we're going to hear from our online graduates and students, and I'm going to play you a short video presentation. So just bear with me. And we'll talk to you after. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
So I started off these studies pretty interesting, moved house, started a job, second child, all in 1 month. So, which is pretty tough.
It was very hard.
It is a difficult school. It's a prestigious school.
But I loved it. I absolutely loved every minute of it.
In this kind of program, you feel like one great family, which makes it a great experience.
If you're with a program that's in the top 1% in the world, there's a reason for that. There's a lot that comes back.
The way that they challenge you, the accumulation of knowledge and experiences you probably would not be through even if you lived 7 lives.
My plan is to continue. The capabilities and all the resources that you have at your fingertips through the university, I want to maintain access to that.
It was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but at the end of it, I really enjoyed it. So I will put myself through the pain of studying again.
The past 3 years are 3 years that I will never forget, and I think I evolved not only as a software developer, but also as the person.
Having got the qualification, I found that the glass ceiling was removed.
I can already see the difference it's made for me personally, kind of my outlook on things. You know, it's helped me with clients, it's helped me with my family.
It shapes the way I work.
I'm beginning to have the kind of fulfillment in life which I desire.
This program was the bedrock for me. It shaped my future.
The best decision I've ever made in my career.
I am excited about the future because I know I can do anything I want to do.